me ask you a question. Do you recall at all what kind of discipline they did give out to you young men when you were a little out of order in the school?
Well, I could have, maybe I don't remember.
You don't remember what, there was no standing in the corner or leave the...
When we sit down to the outhouse?
Oh, well, we sat down, we had to walk out of the school, all the way down to school to the outhouse, each way.
That was discipline? You did that for discipline?
Yeah, that was
Oh, I don't know if that was discipline.
I always thought that was a form of discipline.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess I never got sent.
Yeah, you're a good girl.
I do remember when I was just maybe a first or second grader, that I think it was Bruce Parker, so I would have had to be the first grader. Bruce Parker was, sixth grade,
Yeah.
and he might have stayed back some too, so he was a big guy, I remember. And I remember Mrs. LaPlante saying, "I guess I shall have to give you a good shaking up." And he was sitting in his seat, and she went over and she grabbed him by the shoulders, and she just shook him like that. And as far as I was concerned, that was the only discipline that I ever really remembered, and that was supposed to set an example.
Discipline when we were in school.
Yeah.
I think everybody figured they better behave.
I can remember one of the teachers had a thick ruler, and that felt pretty good on the back end.
Oh, that was the one we did, Miss Higgins.
Yeah.
She was
Oh,
the
she
one,
was-
she did do that. She had a metal, it was a ruler with a metal edge.
Yeah.
And she slapped some of the kids with it.
Yeah.
Corporal punishment, huh?
Yeah.
I think pretty much we were all pretty well behaved in school.
Well, I
Yeah.
just think it never occurred to us. That's my feeling, is that none of us ever.
We could raise a ruckus outdoors, but we had better behave inside.
Well, it must have been interesting having 6 grades in one building.
Trying to keep them all headed in the right direction all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's true.
what does a 6th grader do when she's working with the 1st graders, She must have had something to occupy them.
Well, they had, what I said would be the equivalent of
Reading,
homework.
yeah.
You would have, because you had certain math things that you had to do, so on. And, if you weren't gonna take it home to do it, you had to do it while in the off hours in school when she was teaching other classes. That's why I think we didn't get homework.
Okay.
Each grade was a row. So she could start with the 6th, give them a lot of reading, put that down. There was a nice feeling to this real slate boards too. They don't like the cardboard.
Especially when you're in a
they
class
have.
like that.
They
They did that too. Kids did.
District 4 school is still standing up at top of the hill. It's in very poor condition.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're using that like for storage and
Oh,
stuff.
It still has two walls with the old slate blackboards
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only thing that could be salvaged out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, from the comments we were making, discipline was not a problem with either the boys or the girls up there.
Except for Marie.
Except for Marie. Yeah. She was up at the other school. I was going to ask a question. We were talking about the outhouse. Boys and girls, individual. And that was used in all seasons. Someone had to shovel their way out.
I'll do it.
As a youth, I remember more snow than we seem to get now.
You know, nothing, they have 18 inches at one store.
Yeah.
So you're right, it was a lot of work.
And you didn't spend a lot of time out there, I imagine, in the winter.
No, I don't think so.
Well, I mean, you didn't go unless you really, really desperately had a need. And isn't it funny that if you were, I always wonder about this, why in the world would it make a difference that you raise your hand if you had to go to the bathroom, and you raised one finger if it was number 1,
or 2.
and 2 fingers if it was number 2, who cares?
It's just funny the things you remember.
You Did she ever refuse a one or a two?
No, nobody, she never wanted to chance that, I don't believe.
And
I don't know about, James brought some pictures
I
that I
got
thought
some
were
pictures
interesting.
here that came from the farm. They talk about Wickabog Valley Association. Evidently, there was a parade. I don't know what year it was.
I have a feeling that it was probably for the 300th anniversary of Quabog, I don't know, because these
300th,
seem to
it
be
could be.
floats. that were-
1910?
that
One
were
of
for
these-
parade.
They got a date on the back here of October 4th, 1930.
Oh, 1930,
Yeah, that's when the picture was
yeah,
snapped.
yeah.
So I don't know, but they made a float for the parade.
That was a tercentenary in 19.
Sure, that's what it was, yeah, that's what I said, I thought it might be the
Of
300th
the
anniversary.
school, huh? Yeah.
No, of the town,
Oh,
Quabog.
of the town, yeah.
Well, this is not 1910, it's after that. The automobiles and so forth are probably pre-19, after 1910.
Well, you know that, I mean,
Yeah.
but this one says Wickabog Valley Association, and
Yeah.
they obviously had a float in whatever parade this might have been.
That could very conceivably, Richard, you could,
It's really an interesting picture.
I would
Yeah, I
like
see what you
that.
mean, they're more Model T wheels than they are.
I'm sorry?
They're more Model T,
Yeah,
yeah.
Isn't this fun? The guy's identifying a vehicle by its wheels, then the.
Yeah, and wooden hubs, and spokes. Yep.
this is obviously a horse-drawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't,
Yeah.
the tires
Would
are
you
so.
Mind if sharing this, if I could put it on with the West Brookfield?
Not at all. Go right
I
ahead.
will return
It's
it.
really a great picture.
Yeah,
And it's a pretty small body, but they didn't have a very large.
We just had a whole box there, and I saw those.
My father
I
took one and he
maybe
built
she
a
would like to see
They
it.
great.
sure did.
I remember, I didn't get disciplined for this, but
Yeah.
it was probably as wicked a thing as I did
Yeah.
in the school. And that was, that it was George Washington's birthday. And everybody was supposed to write in cursive writing, George Washington. And now that was a big, big, long word, and you know, writing a capital G was very difficult. And because I had learned to read and write early, I was pretty good at it. But Jim was having a struggle with writing George. And we were going to get some kind of a treat. I don't know what it was, if it was cherry pie or what, because it was George Washington's birthday. As soon as everyone had written George Washington perfectly on a piece of paper in cursive writing, and I could figure out that Jim was never going to make the grade in time for the pie, so I very kindly volunteered to write George Washington for him. And he, of course, accepted the offer. And then Mrs. LaPlante came by, and she's looking at everybody's paper, and she looked at mine, and that's good. And then she looked at James, who was sitting right next to me, and she said, "My, did you write that, James?" And he said, "Oh, yes, I did." She said, "It looks remarkably like Ruth's."
I wonder why.
Roger that.
But there was never anything more said about it.
Oh, God.
we had a penmanship instructor that used to come and teach the Palmer method.
Oh, yeah. Push and pulls, that's what they
Did
call
you,
it.
you did not have
Oh.
visiting teachers for music or,
Yeah,
no?
We did have a visiting teacher for music who came supposedly once a week. He didn't always make it. Mr. Barry from Spencer. He played the violin, and
Yeah.
he would come once in a while.
remember the times that they used to have the movies for us? They brought the equipment?
Yeah,
They-
Mr. Gentler, everyone,
Yeah.
the superintendent.
About
He was
2 or 3 times a
superintendent for
year.
about 100 years.
They'd have this movie,
And he was,
you'd think that was the greatest thing in the world, because we didn't have any schoolwork to do that afternoon.
and he would show up. Nobody ever knew he was coming, and he would bring this old movie projector, which was silent, of course.
Yeah.
And it would be some movie which had, and it was usually historic, and it would be like about George Washington, and they would have George Washington saying this, and then Thomas Jefferson saying that. It all printed out, and of course, half, some of the kids couldn't read. But like Richard said, we were just so happy because we wouldn't have any school for the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah.
Did you all have to stand up when Mr. Gentner came in?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, we
Stand up and say, "Good afternoon, Mr. Gentner."
Yeah.
He was wonderful. He really was a great guy.
Good guy, yeah.
That's all.
And I remember one year, it was when we had Miss Kennedy, and it was a beautiful spring day. And I think she decided on the spur of the moment that we should go out for what she called a nature walk. It was really just a walk down the road and through the woods and so forth.
We ended up at their farm.
And so anyway, we took this long walk, leisurely walk, and enjoyed the birds and the flowers and so forth. And when we got back to school, lo and behold, Mr. Gentner was there with a movie to show us.
Oh, boy.
And he was not amused. He didn't believe the nature walk yet one bit. And I remember I was so thirsty, I was dying of thirst. And I said to Miss Kennedy, "Can I get a glass of water?" She said, "Go and sit in your seat." And so,
Hold your thirst for a while. Oh, my God. The funny little things that we remember.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I remember one thing about Jim's mother. She got that old heater going one morning up there, and it was darn cold outside. And of course, so you figured kind of open the drafts a little bit more than you usually do. And when she came back, paint was peeling off the ceiling. It curled it, hunks of it were falling down. But it didn't start a fire, but boy, it came close.
wow,
Bullshit.
yeah, could
Yeah.
see that, yeah.
Gosh, he must have done that for how many years?
Oh, for a long time.
Yeah.
A long time.
Now, you had a school bell on it,
We did.
Yeah, there was a
On the pulley.
bell on top of that.
and that rang just for time to go to school or
Yeah.
classes?
Well, time to go to school and just
Recess.
come in from lunch.
Oh, recess or
Yeah,
lunch?
yeah,
Okay.
recess and lunch, she ran.
Yeah.
And that bell was bought by Francis, right?
Right, and it's on the Catholic Church, he gave it to the church.
The,
It's on the West Brookfield Catholic Church, Sacred Heart.
yes, that's, has a school bell on it now.
Yeah.
Now, the other school bell at the elementary school is, they have two bells in the yard now. It must have been from District 4 school then, huh?
I don't know.
Okay.
I remember bringing sleds to school so we could slide.
Yeah.
And it was nice if you did your work well, you could go behind the stove, because probably the teacher didn't want to put any writing in there, and she'd let us write on that board, which happened to be
Mhm.
behind.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
did you do at recess? What did you have?
We played baseball.
We had certain games that we played, and it was mostly always like the whole gang would play, it wouldn't be like if the big kids are. And there was a game that she showed us that was a running game that was called Hill Dill. I remember that. I don't remember how you played it, but we played that a lot. And there was hopscotch, and of course marbles, and baseball, and I don't remember any football that you mentioned. but-
It's like softball one.
Yeah, and jump rope, the girls would bring jump ropes. And
There was one big old square rock we used for first base.
I remember, I was gonna say, first base was across the road.
Yeah.
Really?
You never saw a car come down that road after they went to work, yeah.
Never killed any of us.
No.
Of course, now they're going down there 60 and 70.
Oh,
No.
And it's not even paved yet, really in good shape, but wait till that thing is smooth. Oh my God.
If we would get a snowstorm or something, we would just go up Ragged Hill and
Come down to Bogger.
Yeah.
Never saw a car.
No, we could slide down the hill, no problem.
No pavement, they didn't plow it so the pavement was,
Not snow, it still came down through snow.
No.
Yeah.
We had a rip sled, and then it was my job, because I was small, to go up and stand, see if any cars were coming, but everybody else came down. You
Oh,
could put a
yeah.
lot of people on a rip
It
sled.
was
Oh,
probably 2
yeah,
times a day.
yeah, there was one
Yeah,
big
that
one,
was a long
we put 6
Yeah.
people on that sled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fern, you were mentioning that nobody had talked about going to where, which
Yeah.
was high excitement.
It was, I had to get dressed up and hold my mother's hand crossing the street, very busy.
Mhm.
I want to get into that traffic, you know. I remember my brother making a comment, came in for lunch and he said, "Did everybody see that car that went by today?" That's how it was.
Okay, now I have to ask you all something. Do you remember Chief Split Cloud?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I have tried to find out something about him, where he came from. I never could get any information.
I think they went from the camp that we owned over to East Brookfield, where Barney's garage is,
Mhm.
that area. And it was like maybe one or two places down, and you might have a little up there. That nationality is ruined by alcohol, so they had a lot of, they were trying to be stable, but it's very hard. They weren't working.
What was this, a group of,
Well, it was a group of Indians. They came to West Brookfield and they lived in McCreevy's camp.
Yeah.
And he drove, Chief Split Cloud drove a big black Cadillac with a full Indian and full war bonnet on the door. Well, as you can imagine, that was very exciting to us. And they put on a show in the town hall. And we didn't have any money, and my father wasn't likely to take us anywhere, but he had always told us that we had Indian blood. And so we took the whole gang to see the show at the town hall. And I can't even remember, you maybe can remember how many Indians there were.
4 or 5, there
there
weren't
was
too many.
Chief
Five or
Split,
six, I'm gonna say
Right,
so.
that was it.
Chief
yeah.
Split Cloud and his wife, and I think they might have had a daughter, I'm not sure about that.
One of them died of pneumonia, but
Yes, he did.
he was outside.
What'd you say?
One of them died of pneumonia from being outdoors, you know.
Yeah.
It was
Stayed-
hard, it was hard.
Stayed in tents too long.
Right.
And then there was an Indian young stud called Gray Wolf, who Charlie, my brother Charlie and I always referred to as Injun Joe, probably through Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah.
His name was Gray Wolf. And they put on a big show in the town hall, and they talked about Indian lore and Indian customs and so on. And as far as I was concerned, the only Indian there that amounted to anything was Gray Wolf, because he was probably in his late teens.
Yeah.
And he performed a dance, which they had some sort of a fake fire, so it looked like he was dancing around a campfire. It was on a stage in the town hall. And so he did this dance, and they played drums and so forth. And he was, as far as I was concerned, he was pretty remarkable, and Charlie thought so too. So a few days later, after we were sitting around the dinner table talking, and my father said that he knew Chief Split Cloud. You'd seen him downtown and so forth. And he said, I was thinking about talking to him and seeing if he'd like to adopt a couple of other people into his crowd. Because we've got so many, and they don't have very many. So Charlie and I volunteered right off the bat. And so my father said he would talk about it with Chief Split Cloud next time he saw him. So we thought, well, we'd move it along a little bit. So we built a teepee on our front lawn. And we lived in it for, it seemed like the rest of the summer. I don't know how long it actually was.
Yeah.
And we had gardens full of vegetables, but we went out in the woods and picked berries and stuff like that to eat. We stayed out there at night, and I don't know how my parents put up with it. But we kept talking to my father and saying, well, did you talk with him yet? And there was always some reason why he couldn't quite manage to talk with him. And one day, high excitement, we went next door to Thresher's house.
Yeah.
And Thresher had a daughter who was high school girl, Margie Thresher. And so who was there visiting but Gray Wolf? And we thought it was just great. And we sat down, we were ready to have a big conversation, and he sort of said something like, you know what, I think I might hear your mother calling you. He didn't he was there to see Margie, he wasn't there to see a couple of little kids.
Yeah.
And so we told him that we had corncob pipes home in our teepee, and wouldn't he like to come and smoke some corn silk with us? No, It was great, great disappointment to us, but at the end of the summer, when the Indians left, Margie very proudly displayed to us an Indian head ring, and we thought it was wonderful, you know. And we found out later that it was one of those Indian head rings that they make out of a nickel, a buffalo nickel. And there were many, many young ladies in town who had a buffalo nickel.
They had to give up for the buffalo nickel.
Well, you don't know about Indian trades, but anyway, we never got to join the tribe.
No.
We finally gave up the teepee.
Do you remember any of that, Norma?
No, I
No?
don't. That was after I went away.
It might have been after you left, because we were.
I've heard a lot of tales about West Brookfield, and I never heard anything about Split Cloud.
Split Cloud, that was his name, and I have tried to Google him. I talked with your brother Mylan about it once, and he didn't remember too much. But one of them, that they made part of their living cutting wood, because he said
Yeah, they
he
did.
was a heck of a woodcutter. He said,
Did Cappy Foster
Yeah.
lived? He had some Indians who would visit in the summer up there.
maybe that was the same
Up on
one.
Long Hill.
Yes,
Yeah.
Was that the same ones?
but they would come just in the summer and maybe be
Yeah,
a couple of weeks.
Well, they were just there in the summer. I don't know for how long, but
And
we, he went by every day, and we thought he'd see our teepee on the lawn. Oh, so we probably have some Indian kids there. And one of the things he did in the town hall was, he had a big bullwhip, and
I
he,
remember the bullwhip.
yeah, he cracked the whip and took a cigarette out of somebody else's mouth.
yeah,
He
Yeah.
did that, it had to be the same one that
Yeah.
up at Foster's,
Oh,
because he put on a little demonstration up there one Sunday or something for the Long Hill group.
mhm.
And
After
I,
that, they were doing yodeling. Remember, everybody was yodeling for a while, the cowboy thing. And they make that
That's
funny noise.
very interesting, that's a nice story.
It's one of the stories Rob says I always should write, but I wanted to get some information. I wanted to know who Split Cloud was and who Grey Wolf was, and I never have been able to find
They were
it.
kind of artistic because my mother had a full portrait in wall on it.
Really?
Yeah, but it was pencil, but nice. And I know they did it. It was in my brother's room for years and years, yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know what happened to them, but I know they went to East Brookfield.
Well, we should be drawing this to a conclusion, but I think that if we had any one of us, probably each one of us, have any last comments or what you relished so much and so forth, and express it, and then we will try and hear something from each one of you. Why don't we start with you, Rich?
okay, well, I'm the descendant of people from Vermont. That's where my parents came from. And I've enjoyed my life because of it. And, it was a raise to entertain yourself when you're growing up in that atmosphere. So that's about the best thing I can tell you.
You really haven't moved, but
One,
length of going golf course, right?
yeah, one year we spent in Brookfield.
In Brookfield?
Yeah, we came back to West Brookfield and been there ever since.
Okay,
So I've been in West Brookfield for 81 years. Yep.
good for you.
Richard and my brother Charlie were great buddies.
Oh, we had a good time.
They would run back and forth between each other's houses
Yep.
all the time. I remember once being upstairs in our house, and I looked out the window, and Charlie was running toward Richard's, and Richard was running toward Charlie's, and they ran right into each other.
Richard's the only fellow I ever knew who built a car from scratch. Remember, it was on a metal platform, and
Yeah.
the wheels started to work and he started to go forward. Getting back to the school system, we are now broke all the time in our school systems. And I really think this school is basic. We're way away from that now, way away. Do we really need to take the kids to the North Shore Theater? Can they wait until they go to work, do it themselves?
Yeah.
Or a few dozen things like that that we do for children. hockey inside in June and July. No, we've got to come back to reality, I think.
That's just
Not that
exactly
this
what it
was a
is.
perfect system, but it got us what we needed. When you get out and you do your own, that's up to you. You can get all the extras then, I think. I think that's what, they'll have to also have a town-based budget so that if you live in West Warren, you have just as much money as West Brookfield. And Brookfield, you can't have tax base the way we have now, but that's a few years out too. But I do think we've gone overboard, as with all things, even Christmas. You go to
Oh,
the
yeah.
store in
That was
July,
the beginning of
Christmas
it.
is started, you know.
Yeah,
So we have to, I don't know, if we think this was a good system, which obviously it was, we didn't talk about our health. Most of the children that went through there were probably just fortunate that they were healthy. So did it hurt us to be in that cool room? Wasn't really too warm. Or to walk to school? I don't think so.
Well,
And what your mother packed was gonna be good for you anyway. And, so forth, but I do think schools have gotten out of hand. And I know I would never
And
be
the
a for
unions,
elected
the
official.
unions have got too much
Oh,
power.
the unions, you can't fight the unions.
No,
And that's where charter schools came from, but it's just,
I think we all agree that
yeah,
the society has changed so much, and
it's has.
not particularly
but our needs have, yeah,
Right.
you know, it's,
Right.
can't cover your needs and it's,
Norma,
well,
what do you take from this? You
Well,
obviously,
I was just thinking about one thing that my sisters and I enjoyed once in a while, because we never, back when we lived in 3 years in West Brookfield, and went to that school, we were way up in the boondocks, we never went anywhere except once a week to go get our groceries, but a few times when instead of going home on the bus, my mother would let us stop at Tucker's, you know the Tucker's on Ragged Hill? Wally Tucker and his wife.
Robina,
Yeah,
Oh, Tucker's,
and-
yes.
And my mother would let us stop there once in a great while, and she would always make us cookies and milk. And that was the biggest treat. And then from there, we'd walk home the rest of the way, but, that place was about the best place we've ever lived. My mother used to always say she loved that place up there. It was way out, and, you never saw anybody, you couldn't see another house, and, it was just beautiful, it was wonderful, and the school was great. I have no bad memories of District 2 school on Ragged Hill at all. And it was just wonderful. Yeah, like you say, the kids they'll never see anything like that. The kids today.
If you all had a quick survey, what would be the best thing and the worst thing about going to the district school, living in Wigglebaugh Valley, and the whole smear, the whole experience?
I think the best thing is what we learned, and that we had so much fun there, going through it. We didn't know how much it was until we looked back on it.
You didn't know you were having fun at the time,
Exactly.
and you didn't know you were learning so much.
Yeah, yeah.
How about you, Fern?
I agree that the learning was wonderful, really. And there was no animosity between children. The only thing,
No.
not really.
I can't imagine that teacher having that many kids all day long, every day, all under control, and so well behaved, and no commotion I mean, it's just unbelievable. I don't think they have that in classrooms today.
Jim?
I would say district school life was good. You know, we, like you said, everything was in control. You know, all the way through. You know.
Never
But the
heard the
kids
teacher,
today would never,
you never heard the
They
teacher
don't wanna
yelling or
work.
they would
screaming or
never,
anything.
they don't want
like
to
that.
work, they don't want to work, yeah.
No,
what I've learned from listening to you guys, you all had great respect for your parents,
yeah,
and it started there. Your
Oh, yeah.
parents, and then you had, because of them, you had respect for elders, and particularly anybody that, a teacher. You stayed in line, and if you didn't, it was your parents that brought you up the proper way. And I think so much of that we don't see quite as evident today.
Very
There's
little.
very little respect for, and the children are not accepting their own responsibilities. You had responsibilities there, and you carried them out because of your parental authority. And so that's what I've gathered that you folks all had. You respected the family unit and particularly your parents and your place within it.
I think that too. I think the best thing as far as I was concerned was the community, the fact that you had not only the support of your parents and you respected, but the whole community loved each other, really cared for each other. When Joe Fru's barn burned, all the carpenters in town got together and rebuilt his barn on their own time.
Yeah.
Everybody took care of everybody else. You never even thought about it. You just felt like you were part of an extended family. And that's something that, well, when I go to Sturbridge Village, I have to say, I almost grew up with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know we all just jumped in to help each other wherever they needed. With all
Didn't
the
have to worry about insurance that wouldn't, whatever.
But the world was changing fast around us.
Yeah. Not necessarily for the better.
No.
Sure is.
But I think none of us there were rich. The McCreevy's we considered were the richest people that we possibly knew. But we didn't know we were poor.
No.
That's the thing. You really were not aware of the fact that you were really living in poverty.
Yeah.
And so we had a richness of spirit
That's
and
right.
community that
Yeah.
carried us.
Yeah.
Well, everybody respected everybody, and that made a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
So other than that, it's maybe coming up the hard way, but maybe coming up the right way.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
so,
Well, I'd like to thank you all for coming and participating. It's been a lot of interest for me, and I'm sure it will be for those who are going to get the benefit of your experiences.